Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hi, sir, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our magistrates right away. Several persons are battling for their lives in hospitals in Douala and Yaoundé after two separate explosions which happened in Cameroon's two major cities. In Yaoundé, a fuel tanker exploded in Efulan, injuring several people and many houses were burnt down. While in Douala, precisely at Quartier Brazzaville in the Douala 3 area, another explosion left commuters badly wounded. Details in this news edition. Plus, gendarmes investigations have been opened by gendarmes following the deaths of at least 3 children who were allegedly poisoned. Also, political actors continue to express worries as the bill to extend the mandate of MPs was finally adopted today in Yaoundé. Those are our big stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. Several persons in Yaoundé escaped death by hair's breadth after a truck transporting some flammable liquids exploded at Efulan, a neighborhood in Yaoundé. No human life was lost, but several persons were wounded and houses were destroyed. Another explosion happened here in Douala today, and fortunately too, no deaths were recorded. Malagari tells us detailing what really happened.
On that fateful day at about 3:30 p.m., this fuel tanker tumbled on the road and rolling against some houses at the Efulan neighborhood, Yaoundé. This caused some liquid to pour out, leading to an explosion, and which also sparked a fire incident. And few hours later, a second explosion occurred, causing panic amongst the residents who started running helter-skelter for safety. A situation that puts in danger the Efulan District Hospital and other administrative offices found around the area. With the presence of a gendarmerie brigade just around the police station, the firefighters arrived and immediately secured the area. They used water to put out the flames and other those to leave our houses and close all gas bottles and later they asked us to return to our homes, that everything is okay. Just few minutes later we heard an explosion. Thanks to the mobilization of the population and the presence of the firefighters, the flames could be put under control, though over 5 houses were ravished by the inferno.
At the point we are talking now, we're able to quench the fire and we've not noticed any human casualties yet.
Je suis en train de voir comment ça finit de brûler.
I am here watching how my house is going down in flames with my properties, including my children's bed. After several hours, the firefighters were able to completely put out the flames. This was in the presence of the governor of the Central Region, the senior divisional officer from Fundi, and the divisional officer of the Yaoundé 3 municipality. Thanks to the intervention of the firefighters and security officers who were able to stop the fire from spreading to other houses, only 5 houses were burned and no human life lost. In Douala, another explosion occurred in Brazzaville neighborhood, precisely at a Scalier bar in an oil factory, Monday at about 2 p.m. No human life was lost, but several persons incurred injuries.
Meantime, ministers in charge of security alongside security forces are seeking ways on how to curb the high rates of terrorism and the use of improvised explosive devices by terrorists across Central Africa as they meet here in Douala for a training on how to identify explosive devices. The permanent secretary of the Central African Police Chiefs Committee revealed that countries such as Cameroon and the Central African Republic plus Chad are greatly affected. Lucy Liengu is here with the details.
The 2024 National Youth Day in Cambe in the Northwest region was marked by an IED explosion that resulted in one death and others severely injured. On June 26, 2024, another improvised explosive device planted by suspected separatists killed at least 2 persons in Oshum village, Batibo subdivision. IEDs are commonly used by alleged separatists and terrorists in the Northwest, Southwest regions and the Far North region, respectively. To fight against this phenomenon, ministers in charge of security and security officials from across Central Africa are meeting in Douala to gain insight on how to identify IEDs and their roles.
Déployés par les plus hautes autorités de l'État pour lutter contre la criminalité sur toutes ses formes, notamment le trafic divers et le terrorisme.
The training was organized by the permanent secretary of the Central African Police Chiefs Committee, Colonel Ovono Isai, after noticing an increase in terrorist attacks with the use of IEDs in Central Africa.
Se sont rendus compte que la criminalité sur le...
We noticed some cases in Cameroon, the Central African Republic, and Chad. Reason authorities in charge of defense decided to call on the Central African Police Chiefs Committee to organize the training.
D'organiser une formation.
The representative of the Delegate General of National Security, Heve Marie Ondoa, urged the participants to be attentive and inquisitive throughout the training.
Je leur demande d'être particulièrement studieux et attentifs, qu'ils fassent preuve de curiosité. Je parle de curiosité scientifique.
After Chad and Cameroon, the next country is the Central African Republic. The training in Cameroon will run till the 12th of July.
And now over to one of our lead stories. Gendarmes in a Wai village situated not far away from Yaoundé have opened investigations on the cause of the death of 3 children. Reports say the 3, whose ages ranged from 2 to 8, died after consuming food allegedly mixed with a poisonous substance. 3 of the victims are battling for their lives in a hospital in Yaoundé. Smart Jikan Gabriel tells us more.
Several hours after the horrible incident that took away the lives of 3 kids, inhabitants of Zili village are still to come to terms to what happened. It all started after the mother of the house sent her kids back home to prepare food for the family while they were in the farm. The menu was corn fufu and soup. Unfortunately, when the corn fufu was about to be cooked, the oldest, who was 7 years, mistakenly mixed a highly poisonous substance used usually to send away insects that attack plants with the corn flour. Immediately on the table after eating the food, the kids will have terrible stomach ache, which will end up to the death of the eldest, who is 7 years old, alongside his juniors, aged 4 and 2 years respectively, while foaming from their nose. According to the mayor of Hawaii, joined on telephone, he confirmed that after visiting the house where the horrible incident occurred, 3 other kids, all girls, who ate the same food, were rushed to the general hospital in Yaoundé for medical attention. Andre Remy Akono also precised that all the 3 children belonged to the 3rd class chief of Zili. The mother of the kids in pains haven't been seen since the horrible incident happened, cursing the day she sent her kids back home to prepare food that will later send them to their graves. The lifeless bodies of the 3 children have been kept at the mortuary in Equinoxe, Yaoundé, while elements of a gendarmerie in Hawaii have started investigating to dig deep to the issue.
Sad indeed. We stay with you. Smart to take us over to Makenene, still in the central region where gendarmes have opened investigations after a lady reportedly killed her father. It's alleged the lady took away her own father's life because he claims the father caused her mother's death.
Scene of the incident, blood stains were still very visible, which portrayed the level at which Roger Twiba was stabbed to death by his own daughter. What actually led to this incident? She accused her father of killing the mother. She said that was what forced her to kill the father. Inhabitants of Kasala Farms in Makenene in the Mbama Nubu division of the Central region are still in shock after the 64-year-old was killed. I was working at my toilet when he asked if I am a robot because I have been working for long. He offered a drink and after he said he was going to accompany a brother by the road. That was when he began the quarrel with his daughter. From what I understood, the girl accused the father of killing his mother. So as I went to check, I met the girl had already stabbed the father and was about stabbing him a second time. Then she called me to help her. At the compound of late Roger Twiba, preparations for his burial have already started. Meanwhile, the daughter who killed the father has been arrested by police in Makenene and will be presented to the State Council in the days ahead.
And now we talk politics. A bill to extend the mandate of the members of parliament has finally been adopted today at the National Assembly. This is to the discontentment of several political actors, including those of the ruling CPDM party. Babila Jonathan compared some of those reactions in this write-up.
Honorable Nuran Foster is against the extension of the mandate of members of parliament. The member of parliament from the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation adds that though her voice is insignificant, she maintains her rejection of the move. Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho qualifies the move as arbitrary and a violation of the Constitution of the Republic. The SDF also rejects the extension of the mandate of members of parliament and municipal councillors because it is anti-democratic. The Cameroon Democrats Front Party qualifies it as a part of a well-calculated massive electoral hold-up in the making. The Cameroon Democratic Union calls on President Paul Biya and his government to show proof of patriotism and respect for democratic principles by respecting the electoral calendar. The party is urging the head of state to abstain from signing a decree to maintain municipal councillors at their positions of responsibility beyond their current mandate. The CDU is also asking for the publication of the dates on which the different elections will take place.
We will be talking more on that again today in the second part of the news. The Social Democratic Front, the SDF, has criticized the Cameroon government and the parliament for failing to work for and protect the interests of Cameroonians. During a press conference in Yaoundé, the SDF National Chairman, Honorable Osi Joshua, raised concerns about difficulties faced by Cameroonians in accessing basic needs like the National Identity Card. Babila Jonathan once again tells us more about the meeting in Yaoundé.
Nous condamnons cela.
The Social Democratic Front National Chairman, Honorable O.C. Joshua, condemns the increase in the cost of obtaining a national identity card from 2,800 to 15,500 francs CFA.
La position du SDF est claire là-dessus.
To the Social Democratic Front, the national identity card should be free. Since June 2022, the SDF has been pressing for a parliamentary commission to investigate the billion francs CFA Glencore corruption scandal to no avail. The party of Honorable O.C. Joshua denounces what it calls
state capture, c'est-à-dire la capture de l'État.
The wealth and institutions of the state taken hostage by a group of individuals. Honorable O.C. Joshua says
cela doit s'arrêter.
This has to stop. The SDF has also tabled bills on the labor code, the question of nationality, and the abolition of the death penalty in Cameroon. But the bills have remained in the drawers, so to speak.
Now in news out of Cameroon, Liberian President Joseph Boakai has announced the reduction of his salary by 40% and the money will be used for public interest. Cedric Chakutio has details of that story and more. We take you to news out of our national frontiers. We take you first to Liberia, where Liberian President Joseph Boakai has announced the reduction of his salary by 40%, and he says the money will be used for public interest. Let's now have more on that with Cedric Chakutio. Well, we'll be coming back to that. That would be in our subsequent news editions. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. Don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Professor Willibrod Zingwa. Professor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. Now, the mandate of parliamentarians have finally been extended following a bill which was tabled in Parliament that happened in Yaoundé today, but the proposal came with lots of criticism, Professor, from political actors. Tell us what the law stipulates precisely.
I think the law in Cameroon is very clear. The President of the Republic is all-powerful and has the right to extend the mandate of any elections depending on the local realities, what is found on the ground. In the case of the parliamentary mandate, one of the reasons which are being put forward is that we have more than about four elections within the election calendar, and therefore the President of the Republic deems it necessary. I mean, it is clear within the law that elections or elections of any elections, be it parliamentary elections, be it council elections, could be pushed forward. It's in the law.
Thank you, Prof. Let's now come to this issue of financial strength or prowess. The MPs claimed earlier that the extension is due to lack of financial resources to organize for elections next year. Can that be valid, considering that the electoral calendar is clear?
Well, I think that I just raised the issue without saying your next question. I think it is important to note that the election calendar is very tight. The question is whether should that be any valid argument. Well, it is valid and it is not valid. It is valid because of the constraints, the financial constraints that the country is going through. And that is why it becomes very difficult to organize all of those elections, including the presidential elections. So in that sense, considering the financial difficulties, we can say it is valid. But it is again not valid because we should not pretend to think that it was never known that there would be that the electoral calendar had been put forward a long time ago. This simply means that there were supposed to be preparations to that effect. Financial means, human capital, all of these things were supposed to have been put in place before now. So coming up with the idea that it is because the charged political year or that the political calendar is so charged would be flimsy. But like I said, it is both logical and illogical depending from where you are looking at it.
And again, Prof, most opposition political parties have been crying foul as they see this as a violation of democratic principles of the nation. Do you share the same viewpoint as those opposition political actors?
Well, the opposition political parties see these as a violation of the political process in Cameroon. Let me be very fair here, that the basic definition for politics is coining policies to gain power and govern people. And we realize that the system of the day, or every political party tries to coin the policies that's going to make her to gain power and govern the people. And therefore, the huge, we should say the obese majority of the ruling party, CPDM, give them that leeway to be able to coin their policies which would make them stay long in power. So each political party is doing that. So whether we are crying foul to the political gymnastics of this electoral process in Cameroon, it has its place, because it is not unconstitutional, it is constitutional, and I know that most of the political parties would have wanted the legislative elections to come in place for a simple reason, because the law is clear that if you are not represented in a council, in the National Assembly, in the Senate, or in the region, you cannot stand for presidential elections.
Talking about the law, Professor Zingwa, can you explain to us further what article on the Electoral Code is explicit on how to get a presidential candidate by nomination?
121 of the Electoral Code is very clear on that, which is talking about how do we get presidential candidates by nomination, through a political party or through I should say either through a political party or being an independent candidate. Through a political party is simple. A political party simply comes up to nominate a candidate, but that political party must be represented in any of the elections in the country. Then by way of independent candidates, and by way of independent candidates, it means that the people must have public officials, 30 in each region, who nominate and sign the electoral document of that independent candidate. And no matter how popular a political candidate is or a political party, if that political party or candidate is not represented in any of the elections in the country, then that candidate should come in as an independent candidate. That is the reason why the political parties are crying foul, because naturally the political parties like MRC is a political strategy to dismember them. It's a political strategy to keep them out of politics, because, out of the presidential elections, because they cannot, by the Electoral Code, validly stand as candidates without passing. So if Kamto is coming in for any elections, he's supposed to come in as an independent candidate, not through a political party, by the Electoral Code. And this means that any of those political parties that are being formed today, which are not represented in the National Assembly, must have 300 signatories from top officials to validate their candidacy. I think this is the intricacies of the elections process. These are the intricacies of that bill, because the bill is tactfully eliminating the major opposition political candidates who are not represented in the National Assembly, who are not represented in councils, in the Senate, and so on.
And that bill was unfortunately adopted today. Now, Prof, can this extension have some adverse consequences or effects on the upcoming elections, the Electoral Code, and why not the stability of the country as a whole?
Yes, the major consequence is that no matter how popular, it's going to disqualify very popular candidates. In the case of Cameroon, in the case of MRC, that's a major consequence. Another consequence is that it is going to consolidate the powers of the President of the Republic, because, of course, any decision that has to be taken must go through the National Assembly. So the President of the Republic comes on first elections so that he could be able to have his decisions passed through a parliament that is majority CPDM. Another consequence is, which we do not wish, is that it might lead to political protest, and it can lead to some sort of unwarranted civil strife in the country if these political parties decide to engage in that, which unfortunate. If we have to respect the electoral code, if we have to respect the laws of Cameroon, it means the decisions are in order. It means some candidates will not go in for presidential the position of the presidency of the republic when that time comes, of course, because they are not represented. These are some of the consequences that we see with this law, especially if the law is being passed at the National Assembly. And we see that the law is going to be passed because before the parliamentarians, or before such a bill is put to bear, it means that there has been careful thought. Remember I said it is a matter of politics, coining policies to eject opponents, and that is what the system is doing to neutralize valid opposition political parties.
Thank you, Prof, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Thank you for your time and hope to have you some other time. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us on Equinoxe Television. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at 7 p.m. with Serge Alongutu, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.